Hi, Audrey. You're testing, all of you are testing my voice, my voice recognition, my speaker recognition. So I'm going to stop guessing your names. You can just say your name.
Peter in the Mid-Atlantic.
Hi, Peter.
Hello in Dallas. Hello.
Amy across the
Hi,
ocean in Oahu.
Hi, Amy. This is fun.
Maryland across the freeway in Fairfield.
Hi, Marilyn.
This is William, just on the other side of the high school in Redwood City.
Hi, William. This is great. Oh, audio is garbled.
Across the street today in Redwood City.
Hi, Padma. Is this Padma or Claudia? I wasn't quite sure who was speaking just now.
Claudia.
Claudia. Hi, Claudia. That's great.
Yeah, hi, this is Padma from Belmont on the peninsula.
Hi, Padma.
Hi, Jerry from Toronto.
Hi, Jen. And Neil says, Dharma and geography go great together. That's funny. Hi, Sarah from Toronto. Hi, Karen from Puget Sound, Washington. I know from, who says hello from way across the ocean in Japan. I know. Good morning to you. Lovely you can join. And Bill says the audio is garbled. Is my audio garbled or not? Yes, it is garbled a little bit.
Not really.
Yes, a little bit. By way, still having trouble with
We're still taking names. I'm Claire in New York. I was getting my earphones out so I could hear you.
Hi, Claire, that's great. Anybody else who wants to share their hello and geographical location before we begin? We have YouTube friends who join. Who say hi, Ben from Australia, Scotty from Missouri, and Vic in Denver. So very cool. So, let's see. It seems that. I'll just check my audio settings. They're the usual. So we just quickly. Oh, there. Let me check something. Oh, that's curious. Oh, that's funny. It's not picking up something. Hold on. It's not picking up. Let's try that again. Okay, let's try that again. Is that any better? That is better. It was okay. It wasn't picking up my my microphone, and it was picking up the laptop mic, which is pretty far away. So amazing that you could hear me at all. Thank you all. Thanks for the community support to debug this. Great. Okay. So audios, I always do the check at the beginning. If the audio is okay, give me thumbs up. You guys gave me the thumbs up. It's not my fault. Just kidding. It's all good. Great. Okay. So thank you all. Let's begin. My heart is warmed up. Now we have more hellos. Lynn from Belmont and Rugosa, who gives a warm autumn greeting. So thank you, Neil, for posting information about Happy Hour Google Groups. If you're new to Happy Hour, we invite you to join the mailing list. It's a low traffic mailing list, and there's also a little document we have for later when you join the small groups, breakout groups, how to offer yourself and others care. So with the preliminaries out of the way, actually, well, a couple more preliminaries. going to change the settings so that we keep the Zoom room quiet, and also chats will only come to me, but I ask that you keep those, keep that channel quiet. And last but not least, I'm going to turn recording on for the sake of audio Dharma. Here we go. Great. Okay. So hello, everyone. It's lovely to be with you. Lovely to see you. And I really enjoyed our hello saying at the beginning, with the different geographical locations and with relation to one another. That was fun. And I truly feel that when we do that, when we say hello and just share our voices, our goodwill, our metta, it brings me more present, a sense of community, a sense of shared community, that here we are from different places in the world. We're coming together to do this cultivation of kindness, goodness, practice together. And it's in this light, in this spirit, that for today's practice, I would like to offer really two practices that are related together. And the first one is, as we come together, as all of us come together from different places in the world, as you creatively mentioned, shared them at the beginning, coming together to hold sacred space together, It's quite a doing for, it's, it's lovely that we, especially because we're not in the same room, but we can hold global space, sacred space together across the ocean, many oceans, and to hold this sacred space for both grief, for sadness, for whatever might be arising right now, for each of us individually, and also for us collectively with what is happening in the world geopolitically. And I know that there is, for many people, there is grief, sadness, anger arising, and to hold the space of, it's just a simple sacred space to hold it all, not turning our hearts away, but when we hold it together, it becomes lighter to hold. Not that the situation is light at all. It's egregious, it's grievous, and it's getting worse. The humanitarian crisis worsening, and to meet it in our hearts with stability of care and compassion. And I know that for me, as I've been listening to the news, I've been finding myself crying. There are human beings who are suffering regardless of their belief and religions and background. And maybe also personally, I share with you that, I've identified myself jokingly with friends as a Mujubu. You might have heard of a Jubu, people who've been Jewish and practice Buddhism. And I've also been raised Muslim. I went to a Jewish grade school for 5 years back in Iran, and now I'm a Buddhist teacher. So there is this sense of really so many people I know and care about being affected, and so many people I don't know being impacted. And maybe I'll share one other thing, which is today I was listening to a rabbi and an imam on the radio on NPR, and they were talking about how they're supporting various practitioners and the rabbi said something very profound that the imam loved and re-echoed at the end, which was that there is not a dividing line. There's not so much of a dividing line between different people of different religion in this scenario, what's happening in the world. But it's really a dividing line between people who believe that violence is the only solution and people who do not believe violence is the only solution. And that is so profound. So let us count ourselves, add our name as signatories to not believing that the violence is the only solution to the world's problems, but actually compassion, understanding, dialogue, and care. And let us be a part of, at least as we engage with our own heart and practice and the way that our actions in the world reverberate, to be voices for love, for care, for compassion, for dialogue, for understanding, and not for hatred and violence. So with that, I'd like to share a practice of both settling into a sacred space and then opening our hearts for holding whatever is arising with compassion for ourselves and other beings in this world who are just like us. They're not different from us at all, and just caught in this tangled mess because of where they're born. So let us arrive in our bodies. And in this moment, feeling our feet on the earth. On this earth that houses so many of us, is the only home to us, so many of us beings, humans, non-humans, animals. And letting this body rest, letting our heart rest. Feeling a shared space of care and wishes for peace that soothe, calm, hold us, as well as everyone else on this planet. A sacred space that holds wishes for peace. It can also hold sadness and grief if it's present. And letting our presence, our bodies, our living, breathing bodies, be a signatory to a prayer for peace in the world. And with each breath, deepening our commitment to peace, to inner peace. First, inner peace, so that we can enact outer peace. And letting the breath be supportive, grounding us to this present moment. Feeling both the importance, the gravity of our practice in this moment come together in peace, in kindness. How important this is in our troubled world. How important just sitting in kindness. Not adding fuel to the fire of hatred. How important this is in our world. And connecting, receiving each breath as an offering, as a gift, as a peace offering to this world. To yourself, internally and externally. Each breath a peace offering. With every out breath, breathing out peace, goodwill, care, both onto yourself and onto others, internal, external. If you're suffering in this moment, if your heart is breaking, it's heavy, let yourself receive the care, the compassion first. To establish a sense of stability. And if there is groundedness, let the care be outwards, touching those who are suffering in this moment, bringing them succor, bringing them ease, maybe just a bit of lightness in a moment of darkness, a bit of uplift, spreading your wish of goodwill. And if it might be supportive, adding the phrases of compassion. May I, may you have ease in the midst of this sorrow, this pain, this suffering. May you be free from suffering. May you be safe as much as possible. Or simply, I care about your sorrow, your pain, what you're going through. And I wish you ease. And if you wish, you can either stay with yourself, if there's suffering, if there's sorrow and pain, or expand externally to those who are suffering in this moment, especially in the Middle East, the whole region, so much pain, so many humans. In sorrow and danger and grief right now. Regardless of the borders, nationalities, beliefs, they're human beings just like us. Just as I wish to be free from sorrow and suffering, I wish you ease. May you have ease. May you be free from pain, from sorrow. And if at any point
your practice of compassion veers into empathic distress, make sure to bring compassion home internally, calming, soothing your own aching heart so that you can have stability again and be available for others through the actions of your mind, your speech, the actions of your body, thoughts, speech, and physical actions. Wishing ease and freedom from sorrow, suffering, pain, danger. Wishing ease, peace, and goodness to all those who are suffering in our world in this moment, wherever in the world they may be. Wishing well for all those who wish for peace. And wishing clarity of vision for those who think that hatred, violence is the solution to humanity's problems. May all beings everywhere, including ourselves, be free from suffering, sorrow. May all beings everywhere be happy and have the causes for happiness. May all beings be free. Thanks for your practice, everyone. I had this sense, I have this image of each of us praying or practicing with each breath for compassion, for peace in the world. Each of us is holding this candle together, and may there be peace. May there be peace on earth. War is hell. War is hell. And saying this, I actually, when I was growing up in Iran, I lived through the bombing of Tehran in the Iran-Iraq War. And it was nothing like what we hear on the radio right now. And just remember how painful and difficult and uncertain it was So may there be ease and peace for those who are in grave danger and suffering in our world, extending our hearts to them. Practicing compassion, one breath at a time, one breath at a time. And of course, it's so important not to lose our own stability with the practice of compassion, because the pain of the world sometimes can feel so overwhelming that it can feel easy to veer into empathic distress. And that's not helpful. That doesn't help anyone. And that's not compassion. Empathic distress is what, when we're falling into the waves of the ocean with the people who are suffering, we're bobbing up and down with them without the ability to extend a holding hand. Compassion has more stability, has care, has love, and more stability. It's not overwhelmed. It feels the pain, but holds the pain with equal amounts of care and love and compassion, so that it doesn't become a practice in self-flagellation and just feeling pain over and over again. So be very careful and clear when you're practicing compassion. If it veers into empathic distress, it's wise to pull back and turn to compassion for yourself, because you're the one in that moment who's suffering and have lost your balance. You're more, and the balance, again, really think of it, compassion is a balanced inaction of feeling another person's sorrow and pain, could be your own, as well as care and love to hold it. If there's not enough love and it's just pain, that's not compassion. That's empathic distress. So be clear and wise about how your practice shows up internally for you. And again, if it veers into empathic distress, it's not a sin. Don't self-flagellate. It's just the practice has gotten out of balance. It's fine. No problem. It's time to bring more balance into it. Turn more into bringing more care, more love, and turning to yourself so that there is balance till you can turn outside again, outward again. So I'd like to invite us, if you would, to for us to carry this sacred space that we're holding together into the small groups, holding sacred space together in small groups of roughly size 3, and sharing if you wish. And you can also just hold space in silence. You can just be these candles that show up and hold space together for other human beings in the world. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you want to just show up in silence. That's perfectly fine. And if you want to say a few words, the invitation is just the self-exploration of how this practice was for you in this evening. And there's no right or wrong answer. You can say, I fell asleep. I don't know what she's talking about. It doesn't matter. It's just an exploration, if you wish. Or you can say pass and just hold compassionate space. So I will create the small groups with the invitation to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, each person just offering one nugget and leaving space for others. And let's go the order of reverse birth date order. So whoever was born closest to December 31st will speak first. So at the beginning, you'll just have a little bit of exchange to share what your birth date, not birth year, but birth date is. and please turn on your cameras when you go into groups, just to create the sense of safety for one another, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Be kind, be compassionate, and be a candle. Be a candle. How can you be a candle of light, of peace? Okay, I'm opening the rooms now. Take care. Okay, welcome back, everyone. All the breakout rooms are closed. Everybody's back. And thank you for your practice tonight. And would love to hear from you. Any reflections, any comments, anything you discovered in the practice, especially if you haven't spoken in the large group recently. Also, in the chat is open now. If you'd like to share your reflections, if you just send them to me privately, I will not read your name, just your reflection. If you type it to everyone, I'll read your name and the reflection as well. Any thoughts, any discoveries with this compassion practice, this in this moment in time? Maybe as I take a moment, take a pause to see if you have any reflections you want to share, what I'll say about practicing compassion, especially when there are challenging events in the world, feels like the appropriate response instead of getting entangled in anger and blame and overwhelming grief. Practicing compassion, which then leads to actually actions of compassion instead of being devastated or angry and inflaming. Actually, it is the appropriate response, both for ourselves and for the world. Wholesome actions can come out of this instead of unwholesome actions, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of humanity, training our hearts, training ourselves, as we are one drop in this ocean of humanity. Yeah, thanks, Neil. Neil says, I try to remember the environmentalist statement of think globally, act locally. Yeah, the same is true for peace and kindness. Exactly. And in this practice tonight, we definitely thought globally and acting locally here. Each one of us. Kevin, I see your hand. Please.
Hey, yeah, so last night I spoke with a friend who is Jewish and from Ukraine, so has been, profoundly affected by both of the wars going on. Also had an extremely heavy meeting, a work meeting, immediately before this sitting. And so I just really, really appreciate this space and to be in community with others. I think this practice of compassion is so important, and to be able to hold this sacred space for all of the suffering. And I just really want to express gratitude for the space and for everyone's practice, and that so much appreciation for it, a lot of goodwill towards everyone for that support, and gratitude for everyone's practice. And just want to remind everyone that so much metta for everyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for your share. Yeah. And I saw lots of hearts showing up while you were speaking. Jennifer says, thank you, Nikki, for your compassion and wisdom. This was a powerful metta tonight. Thank you, Jennifer. And Nav says, Mr. Rogers advised children in times of distress and troubling news to focus on the helpers. He said, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. Indeed. Thank you, Nav. Thank you. And Ellie, I see your hand.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you for the teaching and bringing the subject in the forefront. Yeah, it's hard actually. I mean, I've been getting more of the as you said, the empathy, distress more so. But takes a while to have the other. For me, to have the other part underneath it, the other part of the compassion to hold it both. And then, as we know, I mean, Buddhism is full of the paradoxes, but just being so close, originally from that part, it's hard to, keep both sides, hard to not to take sides or whatnot. And especially when 1 million people being, displaced tomorrow have to move. So it's just, I know it's having to hold both sides is kind of difficult when you're close. And then, yeah, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. Thank you. Yeah, it's
paradox of Buddhism. I was just going to ask you to maybe just like expand on that portion of it, just holding this and that and everything else.
yeah, paradox. Well, I mean, we live in paradox. This is and that's in some ways it's a paradox, and in some ways it's the truth of how things are. Many things can be many things that seemingly for our limited cognition seem at odds, they're actually quite consistent with one another. Grief, sadness, sorrow, coexistent with kindness, love, and care. It seems like a paradox, and yet it isn't at the same time. It's the natural response of the heart. And it's maybe what you shared. Maybe I'll say a word about, sometimes the mind wants to have a binary, or the mind, kind of wants to have a binary, like it's either this or that. And like a loving parent say, sweetheart, it doesn't have to be binary. It doesn't have to be so strictly one way or another. You have much more capacity to hold multitudes, to feel the pain of people who are being displaced, and feel the pain of the people who were surprised and hurting. In fact, you can hold pain. There's just pain. There are human beings all around. And if you want to take sides, dear heart, advise your heart perhaps, take sides with peace, take sides with nonviolence, take sides with compassion, take sides with humanity, take sides with human beings all around in that region, that complicated, complex region of the world that I'm from as well, that has just hurting so much, has been hurting for so long. Taking and also compassion isn't just tender. It's both tender and it's also fierce. It's also protective. It's also loving. It's also gives. It's also shares of itself. But it's not. It doesn't include hatred. It doesn't have any hatred in it. It loves. It sees the suffering, and it sees the ignorance of the world. It sees the ignorance of human beings that keep perpetrating pain on each other, and forgives, loves, doesn't condone, but loves as deeply and as painful as it might be, as it can feel, to continue to love and see under the humanity that everybody's hurting. Everybody's hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt people. Anyway, thank you. Yeah. So 2 1 minute left, and I get this big question. Jerry says, are there relationships between compassion and justice and peace? Yes, absolutely. How can I address this in 30 seconds? Yeah, maybe I'll say this. I trust you have heard of restorative justice. Restorative justice is justice that doesn't blame, shame, hate. Restorative justice that has compassion and wish for peace as an integral part of it. And so that's what I would say in 30 seconds. That's how compassion and justice and peace coexist together. And there are a lot of resources on what I just mentioned. So I'll leave it at that. And maybe what I'll do very quickly is I will share. I mentioned to you that I listened to this NPR report. It was from NPR interviewing an imam and a rabbi. And I just found it beautiful. So I put that in chat. And if you just Google NPR, imam and rabbi, you'll hear the little conversation they had today. So, yeah, last words, Vicky. Seeing the Dalai Lama cry and then laugh joyously 1 minute later was informative years ago to hold both. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Holding also joy and sorrow. I think that those are other, and holding pain and gladness, pain and joy and sorrow. Holding these multitudes, our hearts are so vast. We have so much capacity. All right, dear ones, we're over time. Thank you so much for this very rich practice, conversation, holding space together. I am moved to go now and light a candle, and I invite you to feel the same if you're moved to. Thank you all. May all beings be well. May all beings be free. Take care. See you on Monday. And I'm going to ask you all, if you like, on Zoom, to unmute yourself and say cacophonous goodbye if you like. Here we go. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
everybody.
Nikki.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great
Bye.
one.
Bye.
Have a
Bye, James.
beautiful
Everyone.
weekend.
Take care.
So,
Take
Good night.
care.
bye. Bye-bye.
Be well. Bye.
Watching events in Israel and Gaza over the last week has brought grief and pain to many Jews and Muslims in the U.S. Hamas
Thanks,
launched
Claudia.
a surprise
Bye.
attack last Saturday